Hello again, and welcome to the latest episode of the Play Up podcast. It's been 3 weeks since the last pod, and we really don't want to spoil you too much, but we have plenty to get through, so let's crack on. As it stands, just a few hours before Good Friday, Pompey are in 19th with just 4 games left to play, and a busy Easter weekend begins with Pompey facing Norwich at Carrow Road. Once again, I'm joined by the effervescent Phil Sands. Take a bow, Phil. Yeah. Toast. Good
I'm
to see you, mate.
drinking a cocktail.
I've just got a lemonade. What have you got, Reece?
Nothing. I've just been out for a 2-hour bike ride and I'm just like, ugh.
Oh, all this fitness sickens me. Anyway, good to see you. And also this evening, the irrepressible Reece Percival. Good to see you, my friend.
Hello, mate. Good evening, everybody.
Well, I just made those two words and added them to the script because I thought it was the intro was just too boring otherwise. So first off, to round off March, Pompey once again triumphed at Fratton Park to see off a nervy tight game against Blackburn, with the one moment of quality being Bishop's flick around the defender to put Josh Murphy in the clear, who scored with a place shot into the corner. It was a game of very little quality for both sides, and that's why we're not going to discuss it. And Pompey saw out the game and to record yet another home win. That concluded March's figures, with Pompey recording just 2 wins. So on to Millwall. A trip to London's Docklands was up next, and another attempt at securing some points on the road. An early Bishop shot was really the only effort of the first half. The second half saw Millwall take the lead from a corner. Ivanovic, again, flicking in a header unchallenged, but Pompey responded quickly with Matt Ritchie hitting a post with a close shot. The equaliser came after a cross on the run from Sub Blair. Eventually, it came back to him in space, and his low cross saw Murphy have a shot gamely blocked, but the ball was picked up by Dazelle, who calmly slotted it through a crowd of players. Sadly, though, Pompey reverted to form, and following a corner where the ball was cleared from the box before coming back in, Millwall had players queuing up to head it in. That man, Ivanovic, again, was the one who applied the finish. So, yet again, Pompey threw away some points. I think you were there, weren't you? You were there?
I was,
You were
yeah.
braving the East London Massive?
Yeah, it's another one of those days of great day out, ruined by football. To be honest, it was a half decent performance. I mean, it was a pretty turdish game actually. It was really awful in the first half, and then it was like we could see it out, and then it was just a poor defending. Good header, 1-0 down, but then we actually started to play again, and we actually started thinking, "Oh, okay, let's wake up, let's be effective." And we were actually. I think it's the first goal we scored past Millwall, and we looked really good for the point. And then Pat came on. I'm not sure whether it's before or after the Pompey goal, but then centre back Pat came on when we had Milosevic on the bench. And yeah, I mean, I thought the Blair tackle I thought that could have been a foul and should have been a foul, but it wasn't. But yeah, it was a good cross. The header wasn't challenged. It's pretty much a free header, and I don't criticise Mousinho very often, but I just thought he got that one a little bit wrong. Where you've got a 6'4" international centre back and who's much taller, and I just thought he could have brought him on for half an hour. I know he's injured now, but I just thought, yeah, he got that slightly wrong. I would have just liked him to bring Milosevic on, but that's the way it goes. Unfortunately, we just got a bit of a mentality thing, haven't we? At the moment, we just can't see games out for 90 minutes plus injury time.
You make a very good point about Milosevic. I couldn't understand why he didn't come on either. I mean, if he's on the bench, he can play 15, 20 minutes, surely.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that Millwall do, they get good crosses in and they meet the ball with their head. And surely that's what we were paying him some money. Well, now we're not going to see for the rest of the season because he's damaged his calf, which is, I think you called it, Reece, didn't you? You called it he would get injured.
Do you know what? As soon as he signed, I jokingly put on one of the message boards, what's it going to be then? Is it going to be a calf? Is it going to be an ankle when he first plays? And crikey, lo and behold, he doesn't even get on the flipping pitch and he's injured. So yeah, that's maybe another topic for another time. But yeah, hugely disappointing, and surely it can't all be luck. Or there's got to be some other things going on, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, perhaps there's some potholes not only in Copner but on the pitches as well at Roco. But Phil, I mean, Reece makes a good point about the substitutions. It was yet another game that we failed to see out. Yet another game that Mousinho made late changes. And we didn't manage to defend and get a point. Completely unfairly, I think Harvey Blair was getting quite the abuse for his tackles at the end, but he was up against 2 players, and I think Reece, you called it right. I think he was actually fouled. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I thought it was a foul. I thought it was a clear foul, and I think you're right. He did come in for unfair criticism. I mean, let's be honest. He's not been brought into the team to be a bone crunching tackler, is he?
No.
He's a flair player who's supposed to be playing up the pitch. I've seen of him. I think the last couple of games he's put a couple of sort of quite decent balls into the box. I mean, that's what he's there to do. I think that, he's a work in progress. I mean, I'll get on to bringing players off the bench later, but he's what we've got. I think to blame him hold him responsible for what happened at Millwall. I think people are just looking for a scapegoat, really.
Yeah, I mean, arguably he had two good assists in the goal itself. So it was his initial cross on the run, which forced the ball into the box, and then Ogilvy gets hold of it, and it squirms its way out to Blair. And instead of blasting the ball or lifting it into the box, he calmly passes it along the floor into the box, and that allows Murphy to have the shot, and then Dazelle tucks it away. So for me, I thought he had a great hand in our equaliser. So that buys his time on the pitch and makes sure that he's actually contributed to something. And like you say, he's not. If you want to see out a game, you're not going to bring on Harvey Blair, are you, or Cade Gordon or anything like that? You make different choices about where you're going to bring on players and for what. So very, very disappointing that we didn't get a point. I mean, I can't believe they're a few points off the playoffs. They're one of these teams that I've watched 3 times this season, and they've got very little about them. They don't really do anything outstanding. They don't do anything really unusual. They just are a hard-working team, and that seems to be able to get you 10th, 9th, 8th in this division. So a bit of a lesson for Mousinho, I think, that next season, be a bit more like Millwall, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I was about to think about that. Their centre back, who seems about 7'6", he's a giant, and I mean, I'd love to have him at Fratton Park. He just looks like a unit. They got I think it's number 9 who kind of sits behind Ivanovic, who's really hard working. He usually plays with his socks around his ankles, and he looks really busy. But I think Ivanovic as well. I think he's just got a knack of scoring good goals, hasn't he? I mean, he scored the winner at Fratton Park, and they don't. You're right. They don't look anything special, but they look like a good, solid outfit, and maybe that just goes along a good way in the Championship.
They don't concede stupid goals.
No,
that's because they got a 7'6" centre back there all the time.
But I mean, a lot of teams don't. Well, saying that, actually, a lot of teams do play direct balls and aerial balls. I think it's only really. You could say teams like Leeds and maybe to a certain extent Burnley and Sunderland who really get the ball down and play. I don't include Sheffield United in that because Wilder is very much a direct ball merchant. But then we use the direct ball and the high press to get us out of our troubles and get us quite a few results at home. So, it's not something to sneer at. It's not something to sniff at. It's just something that, you need to find a way to win football matches. And it, I think Millwall prove it doesn't take an awful lot of organisation to be mid-table.
Well, tomorrow should be quite interesting with Norwich, because when Norwich came to Fratton Park, they're very much a play the ball around sort of team, and it didn't work for them at Fratton Park at all.
No.
So it'd be interesting to see whether they're still. I've not really watched much of them, but in their sort of mid-table malaise, whether they still sort of adopt that sort of free-flowing passing game, or whether they've become a bit more pragmatic.
Yeah, God, I remember that game. God, it took them so long to kick the ball out from a goal kick, didn't it? It was like they were playing chess. They were just waiting for a certain person to be in a certain position, and then the goalkeeper would move it. And it took absolute ages, and they couldn't handle the press. That was when Lang was in his pomp, and they just couldn't get away from our press, and it was a pretty dull game. But yeah, it would be interesting to see if they do play the same at home. Pompey then went on to the Midlands, so a midweek trip to the Midlands and Coventry, who themselves are busting a gut to complete their climb into the playoff places. An early chance for Coventry saw Dazelle almost catch the ball again in the penalty area. Thankfully, nothing was given, but it should really have been a penalty to the home side. Pompey came closest to taking the lead when a Murphy corner was headed onto the underside of the bar by Poole. Rudoni then had 2 chances in very quick succession. The first, a block shot with Ogilvy flying out to make the block, and the following ball in saw Rudoni flash his header wide. The final 10 to 15 minutes saw an increasingly desperate Pompey hanging on for a vital point. And on the 90th minute, a corner produced a back post header that hit the post. Unbelievably, probably then almost should have won the game. In the third minute, the ball was stolen in midfield and Bramall was set away on a run that took him to the edge of the box. But he blazed his shot over the bar instead of squaring for Bishop to probably score. The inevitable happened a minute later. With 30 seconds to go, a long ball was missed by Ogilvie, possibly hampered by Bramall, and Redoni chipped a nice cross for Patterson to volley, score on the volley, the winner, and utter heartbreak for Pompey. There you go, Phil. You've got that one. Lucky you.
Yeah. Well, the first half, I mean, it was a spirited performance by Pompey, and in so many ways. I think from the get go, all you could hear was Pompey fans. We employed the high press really, really well. We harried them, we hassled them, we pressured them into making mistakes. A client of mine actually is a Coventry City fan. He was there, and he said at half time he was amazed they were still in the game. He said we were by far the best team. I think you touched on Paul hitting the underside of the crossbar was desperately unlucky, and also the header by Redoni, and I think it was Paul put him under a bit of pressure. It's a beautiful ball in for him. Looks like a real decent player, Redoni. I've not really seen much of him before this, but yeah, I thought first half we were full of energy. We were competing, and we were competing against a team that's again has cost a pretty penny to assemble. There's a lot of sort of quite expensive players in that team, decent players who we managed to make look rather ordinary. So I think it was really encouraging after the first half, and don't know what Lampard said to them at half time, but Coventry came out a much improved side in the second half, and we went from the fact that our high energy play, you can't afford to play like that for 90 minutes, particularly the number of games we had coming thick and fast. So we sort of adopted a more I'm not going to call it a low block because it's sticking every man behind the ball, isn't it? That's what it's called. And again,
but it's organised, Phil. It's organised. I think that's the point people try to make. It's not just 10. And we're not parking the bus. People are organised, and they jump out from their positions to press when they're needed to, and all the rest of it. So yeah.
But we were doing a good job, and I think both Paul and Ogilvie at the back were fantastic. Paul was throwing himself in front of everything. Both of them played really well. Then the key moments, the fact when you thought we are going to hang on, was when Coventry, who, and I'm going to use a pun, the kitchen sink at us, because the Kitching's header, which is sort of like a combination of keeper and post, kept it out. Yeah. And as you say, the chance we had right at the death, where it was a lovely break. You sort of think, well, Murphy's got the chance there to either play a ball in or run the ball down to the corner. He elects to play Bramall in because Bramall's bust a gut to keep up with him. So not the best ball by Murphy, but an absolutely, I'll call it a delicious touch by Bramall, where he sort of somehow managed to get the ball from behind himself and sort of manoeuvre it onto his left foot. Even then, you're thinking, just play it across. But we were discussing it in the ground the next home game, and everyone was moaning about Bramall, and then Roger, who sits in front, turned around and said, yeah, but I'd have shot. And we went, yeah, we would have all had a shot. So he had the chance to make a bit of glory. And as you say, straight back up the end, and it was it was an absolute sucker punch. Typically with Pompey, we played so well for 92 minutes of the game. The ball came in, I think, as you say, I'm not sure what Ogilvie was doing. I don't know if he misjudged the flight of the ball, misjudged his jump, was put off by Bramall going for the same ball. I don't know, but the ball just dropped into that space behind him. At first look at it, the ball came over, and I thought Devlin at the back post, I thought, was at fault for not picking up his man. But then watching the replay, and this is what really, really annoyed me about the goal, is looking at the replay, he's got two men to mark. And you see the bigger picture, the ball goes back to their keeper, our players all retreat into our own half, and Ritchie decides to sort of jog towards the general direction of the goalkeeper. He's not putting any pressure on him. He's left us a man short, and he should have been out there helping out his fullback. Instead, he was sort of jogging forward, and it made no sense to me. Not a player with his experience. I hate to sort of dig out a player, but he should have been 60, 70 yards in the other direction. So it was an absolute sucker punch, and we deserved a point out of that game, and you could see by the players they're absolutely dead at the end, and yeah, a real sickener.
It was interesting. So they obviously set up Bramall to be the vastly more attacking on the left-hand side. So I thought one of the best players on the park was their right back, Van Erwijk. I thought he was terrific. He was quick. He was strong. He was the one that curled that ball in for the Redoni header with his outside of his foot, and he kept Murphy in his pocket most of the game. Bassini had obviously worked on that, so they put the ball in short to Murphy, or they put it in short to the fronts, and then Bramall would bomb on behind Murphy over the top, and then he would get played in, and that's where a lot of our success came in the first half. So it was a very interesting tactical point there from Mousinho. Shows that he does look at the opposition and tries to find weaknesses, but we just didn't have the quality to score in that first half. And as you say, Phil, the second half was a completely different picture, and we were literally on the ropes for the last 10-15 minutes.
Oh, well, I was just going to echo Phil what said about Richie. I think also the most annoying thing was he was actually a sub. He'd only been on the pitch for about 20 minutes, so he wasn't like he was knackered or anything like that. And it as for somebody who I think when we won a game and he wouldn't give the 3 Olays to the Fratton end, and afterwards he said, "Well, we haven't won anything yet." And I thought that's the mentality you want. Yet you saw him say not jogging back and covering it. I mean, it was a great finish. It was a great finish, but it just shows how brutal the championship can be, because it's like that one mistake from Ogilvie, who could have been arguably man of the match, and it cost you. And I've I've got a friend who's a COF fan, and he said, who was that bald guy you got centre back? He was absolutely awesome. And it's like, well, yeah, you're probably being a bit chipper because you won it in the 94th minute, but yeah, absolute sickener, especially after Millwall on the Saturday at 80. Oh, it can't get any worse. I wish you can. 94th minute instead of the 88th minute. Thank you very much, Pompey.
I think the galling thing as well with Coventry is nothing against Coventry at all, but they were players that were giving us problems, not getting results, but putting us under a lot of pressure, the likes of Mason Clark and Sakamoto, both who put in a proper shift. They had the luxury of saying, well, it's not working with those two, so we're going to ring on about £8 million worth of talent off the bench. And you look at the hand that Mousinho's been dealt in the. I think Murphy, as you say, Reece, was getting, or I can't remember if it was your Scots that was saying he was getting pretty much contained. And you think, well, maybe we need to try something else. So then you look at the bench and we go, well, you've got Harvey Blair, who's played, about 200 minutes of professional football. You've got Cader Gordon, who again, not really got the experience at all. And you think, well, you've just got to go with what you've got, and the difference with what they have to bring off the bench and what we have to bring off the bench is absolutely country mile.
And that probably won them the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's nice to have that. It's nice to have the luxury. They had a player that cost $4 million who sat on the bench and didn't come on. It's a different game.
Well, 94th minute, as we said, was the winner. I looked through our fixtures and I've compiled some stats for this point. Would you like to have a guess at how many points we've lost in the last 10 minutes of games over the season so
15.
far?
I will go for about 22, I would say.
Well, it is only 10. So Reece, you're a bit closer. It probably feels like 22, Phil, to be honest. And I'll go through them. It's 8 matches. So we start off with Leeds right at the start of the season, 95th minute equaliser. So we lost 2 points there. And then Borough, 90th minute equaliser. We lost 2 points there. Burnley, 94th minute winner. Another point lost. Plymouth, I've kind of included Plymouth because we were on top for that game, and then at Home Park, and they did us. 82nd minute, so we lost a point. Watford, 95th minute, we lost another point. Preston, 87th minute, lost another point. Millwall, 87th minute, lost another point. And then finally Coventry, 94th minute, lost a point. So we've only really thrown away 2 wins with our poor defending. It's really those away. If we'd have drawn 4 or 5 of those games away when we had the chance, we would be sitting on 51 points and and probably, not too worried about relegation by now. So it's really something that the team, the squad, the club have to address next season if we do stay up, because we have played well enough for 80 odd minutes to actually compete in games. It's just that last final few minutes. And you're probably right. It's about those choices off the bench. It's about that replacing like for like. We just haven't had that all season, have we?
No, and then, I mean, this is something that like Phil and I were debating during the week. It's like, are we where we are because of the spend, or are we where we are because of the injuries? It's yeah. I mean, you we are bottom of the league wages wise. So to be where we are with all the injuries at the moment, I mean, it's a phenomenal achievement. You've got to stay up. I think that the kind of the review doesn't it all depends on whether we stay up or not, and then we can have a end of season review of kind of where do we go from here and how it all panned out. But at the moment, fingers crossed.
Some of it is poor luck. I mean, the injuries, especially in defence, have really, really hurt us. I suppose we were lucky that Bishop came back a little bit earlier, a few weeks earlier than planned, and that allowed us to really push on at home for 2 or 3 months until Lang got injured. So I think if we'd have kept Lang fit, I think we would have certainly been a bit more competitive away from home, because we might have been actually able to get a second or a third goal rather than just be 1-0 up and hanging on or being at 1-1. So I think injuries have really, really hampered us, and we've been quite unlucky with that. But I still think that Mousinho needs to learn how to manage games. I still think he needs to make better decisions in how he sets teams up. And I think you made the point earlier, Phil. Pressing for 90 minutes or 95 minutes is just impossible. So we're going to have to change that mindset from what do we do for the last 15-20 minutes of games where we've got a chance of getting something.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to Derby. So last Saturday, Pompey faced a 6-pointer at home with Derby County. With the first attack of the afternoon, Ritchie got goal side of his defender and flicked the ball past the keeper, who had rushed out of his box. As Ritchie went past, he deliberately tripped him and a penalty was given. A yellow, not a red card, was given to the Derby keeper, with most in the crowd not understanding why he wasn't sent off. It proved crucial that he did stay on, because he then saved Bishop's weak spot kick and Pompey gained no advantage from the foul at all. Harness then whipped in a cross, which flew over Schmidt's head and hit both bar and post before safely being brought under control by Ogilvie. With 20 minutes to go, Derby scored first, and it was the start of a frantic finish. A cross whipped in was met by the head of Yates, and 2 minutes later, Pompey equalised from a Murphy corner with Atkinson heading into the far corner of the net. He then turned villain 4 minutes later as Derby again went in front. A ball was played down the touchline and it looked to have gone out, but as the cross came in from the box with Pompey confused, Atkinson flicked out a leg and the ball went past the desperate Schmidt. It looked all over. As the clock ticked over to 90 minutes, Atkinson was being employed as an extra striker and balls were being pumped into the Derby box. Schmidt delivered one such ball and Atkinson rose highest again to guide the ball into the corner of the net. A desperate finale to a desperate game for both sides, and it ended even. And for once, Pompey probably got what they deserved. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'll chip in on this.
Go for it, mate.
I mean, you mentioned a 6-pointer. We talked about this beforehand. I think if we were playing like a team in mid-table, I think the win would have been more valuable and more important. But the fact we were playing a team in the relegation zone or just outside, in hindsight, it actually wasn't a too bad a result because we took points off them. I mean, again, I mean that if somebody can tell us why that wasn't a red card, I'd love to hear from them. Somebody may know, but to me it looked like a red card. He didn't look like he was playing the ball at all. He took the player. To me, it should have been a sending off, but it was a weak penalty. But I mean, it was always going to be a nervy, edgy game because of the situation of both teams. But to come back, I mean, it was phenomenal. Especially Atkinson was ill as well, and it was his first game back, and he played 90 minutes, and he scored two. Yes, the own goal was again desperately unlucky, but possibly a sign of fitness, having to stay on. But it just shows how much we have missed our centre backs really have. And Paul and Ogilvie are kind of similarish in stature, but just having that real kind of towering centre back alongside Paul, I think it just kind of works. I was happy with the point. I wasn't ecstatic because we didn't win, but 2-1 down with in the 90-something minute, I would have happy taken the draw. And in hindsight, we're now 4 points clear, possibly 5 if you consider goal difference with 4 to go. But it was just a great battling performance. So I was pleased. I was pleased.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a funny game. I think it was always going to be about. I'd said before the game when we were discussing lineups, and I said I picked Sadie in this game all day long. And interesting, Mousinho went with him, and I think because he knew it was going to be a dogfight, and I think for all his nice touches, I wouldn't fancy a sheesh next to trenches in a game like that. So I think that was a great move to play Sadie. It didn't, a couple of times he looked quite good, but I think Sadie sort of suffered from the fact that he's not really played much over the last sort of few weeks. I mean, it was one of those that you sort of felt deflated. As Reece was saying, you feel deflated at first, but then on reflection, it was a point well won, and I think we were the fans that would have gone home slightly happier than the Derby fans at the end of it. Again, the bench again is another issue for this game. I mean, Sadie was obviously knackered, and then if we end up having to bring on Yengi, who just sort of jogged around and got offside a bit, and it's not. There's no options there. Bishop was getting absolutely nothing out of their two centre backs, but we've got no option other to play Bishop in 90 minutes. I was looking at how many minutes he's played since he's been back, and between him and Jacob Murphy, I'm wishful thinking, Josh Murphy. We have to play them both for 90 minutes if to stay in games, and it was one of those games where we could have won that if we'd been able to bring on sort of like for like level of quality. So. Frustrating, but I think as we were saying before, that 1 point could be the difference between staying up and not at the end of the season. So yeah, we'll take that. I also don't know who was giving the man of the match award out. Nothing against Freddie Potts, but I'm assuming his parents sponsored the game because I'm not quite sure how he got man of the match.
Well, it depends who's doing the awards, isn't it? It might have been someone who wanted a very good-looking young man to come and greet them rather than Conor Ogilvie. So,
Are you saying Conor Ogilvie's not good-looking, Scott?
No, I didn't say he wasn't good-looking. He's probably a bit more grizzled than Freddie Potts. So, yeah, especially the way he throws himself about. So I've googled, as you do, the red card laws and the penalty laws, the detailed red card offences sent off. So denying a goal or obvious goal scoring opportunity. If a player commits a foul that prevents a clear chance to score by a player moving towards the goal, resulting in a penalty kick, they will be sent off. There's no ambiguity.
They won't be sent off.
There's no ambiguity there. There's no finessing. If a player is running towards the goal, check. That's what Richie was doing. Yeah. If he's deliberately fouled by the goalkeeper, check. The ball did not go in the back of the net because it was cleared by the defender. Check. Penalty. Red card. See you later. Yeah. So it just shows. I've watched it several times, and there is no way that defender who eventually kicks the ball off the line is going to stop Richie from tapping that ball in the empty net. He's absolutely nowhere near him. That's not the saving grace for the goalkeeper or the referee. That is a massive mistake. I know the penalty was quite poor for Bishop. Goalkeeper was showing him one side and he went that side and the goalkeeper went, thank you very much. But I just can't understand why these kind of mistakes are being made by professional officials at championship level. We're not talking about League Two level. We're talking about championship level. And it's it's just not good enough. We had that penalty away from Watford, which was 2 yards outside the penalty, given by your mate Reece or not by your mate.
No, he was at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, so he claims.
Oh, he definitely was. He definitely was.
So it's really disappointing that we could have had a massive advantage with only 5 or 6 minutes to go. But that's the way it was. Talking about Richie being culpable, have you seen his attempt to tackle the cross for the second goal? It was just
not good,
awful.
Is it?
Just awful. It doesn't even attempt to close the ball down. It's just not. Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking at times, to be honest.
He's certainly tailed off a bit, hasn't he, Richie? For the last kind of month or two, he's been pretty abject for somebody who was playing Premier League, Champions League football a season or two ago.
Yeah, he did have a golden patch, didn't he? Where he was
Yeah.
once he'd got his fitness after 2 or 3 games, he started scoring a few goals, creating a few. But I think it's because he's been in and out the side. We've chopped and changed that right wing so much. You know, Ashish was playing there, Lang was playing there, Richie was playing there. You know, someone else was playing there. We've not had that consistency like we have with Murphy on the other side. So that's probably a part of it. You know, if you get a run of 5 or 6 games, you can build up some consistency and form, I guess. But you know, perhaps he's not fit enough to do that. So you know, that's
what I
there's not
find
much we can do
interesting
about
with
that.
what I find with Rich is he's played 36 times this season, which, you know, given the you know the number of games he was playing for Newcastle, that in itself is quite an achievement. 36 games, 4 goals. That's not a bad, you know, return for a player in this position. No direct assists, and that's the thing I find astonishing. For a player who's vaunted for his ability to deliver a dead ball or put a cross in, you know, he hasn't done that, and I think that's a problem.
His dead balls on, I think, against Derby were just awful. I mean, I wasn't even clearing the first man. They were clearing corners and things, and it's like, what's gone on with him? Sure, I mean, I could get people being knackered and stuff and things in the heat of the moment, but when you've got a dead ball, surely you've got time to just think about what you're doing. But he wasn't even putting any kind of quality in at all. So yeah, really, hopefully saving it for the last 4 games.
If you compare him to Murphy, weirdly similar number of games. Murphy's played 38 games this season. He's got 7 goals, so 3 more, 11 assists.
Yeah.
And I mean that for me, and obviously, Lang's had the you know a decent return as well. But you know that's what you want from both sides. That shows how unbalanced we are.
Yeah, definitely. So we're in 19th. We're on 46 points. As I think just before you joined us, Phil, and we started recording, Reece and I was saying it was a terrific point. I think in the end, you know, it's I when they scored the second one, my son was almost in tears because I just couldn't. I thought we were going to get relegated at that point. I couldn't see us getting another equaliser with 5-10 minutes to go. My son wanted to go, and I wasn't going to argue with him. I managed to keep him there to the 90th minute, so we did see the goal go in. But I was.
Your son told me yours promised not to swear, Scott, and he said that you did.
Well,
that's what he said to me.
Well, there were several instances where I was well within my rights in that game. Not least the penalty. Not least starting with the penalty. So, well, their second goal was their first goal was it was a throw in to us. The linesman refused to make a decision, looked at his referee, looked at the referee, looked at the referee. The referee couldn't have seen what went on because it was a tackle that was blindside the referee. The assistant referee had a clear view of who knocked it out, gave it to Derby. Pompey players were out of position, protesting. They throw it down the line, get a crossing, goal. And then exactly the same thing happened for the second goal. I'm absolutely convinced the ball went out when it was played down the line. Swanson was convinced the ball went out. It went past him whilst he was appealing, and then they got a cross in, which Atkinson put in. So, yeah, I think I was well within my rights to give the referee a volley. Totally don't agree with throwing objects at the assistant referee, though. That's not on. We don't want to see that at Fratton Park. But a bit of colourful blue language, really. Even though my son doesn't like it and tells me off, I have to let that fly a few times. So, I was utterly sickened. I thought we were going down at that point. I really did. I thought we were going to lose this, and I thought after Coventry, if we lost at home to Derby, we would have absolutely no guts left and no confidence. And I really worried for us this season. So the relief when Atkinson scored that goal for me was just monumental, really. And to get a point, I was so relieved.
It's a long old season. There's like 4 games to go. Go on. Let's get it done. Come on, let's get it done.
So, well, let's have a bit of lightheartedness, Phil, with your this week's quiz, please, if you'd like to be so kind.
Okay, so this week I thought I'd take a look at goal scorers because I mean, at the end of the day, goals win games. So I got to look at our goal scorers over the years. I thought, well, we just to check you a bit. I assume you both know who our record goal scorer is of all time.
Dougie Reed.
Jimmy Dickinson. Jimmy Dickinson is
His
appearances,
appearances.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Is it
I think it's.
Dougie Reed,
I think
Dougie Reed, you were close, Scott. He's the second highest goal scorer of all time.
one of the other championship winning? Was it Peter?
Peter
No.
Harris.
Peter Harris, yes, 100,
Yes.
196 goals.
Good old Peter. Yeah.
So our big goal scorers like Harrison and Dougie Reed with 131. They're at the slightly before our time. So I thought what I'd do is I'd look at our top 10 goal scorers who are still playing. Not necessarily for us, but our top 10 goal scorers who are still playing football. So what we'll do is we'll take turns. You can each have a guess, and we'll see who gets the most.
Go for it.
Still
But you can have a bonus point if you say who they're playing for. So, Reece, you're on the left of my screen, so I'm going to let you go first.
My lord, crikey! I'm honestly really just because like the whole COVID years, everything just kind of go into an absolute kind of mire of just mush. I just can't honestly even.
This is going to be a
think
great quiz.
Yeah, this is. You've picked our top 10 scorers who are still playing.
It's a good job I can cut all of this out, isn't it? Otherwise, it'll be an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have a clue. Do not have a. Yeah, I'm even stumped for even the first one at the moment.
Shall I have a go first?
I'll let Scott go. Yeah, come on,
Okay,
Scott,
all
you
right.
go.
I'll go for Connor Chaplin.
Connor Chaplin, he is in 9th place with 25 goals.
Currently playing for Ipswich.
He is, absolutely.
I will go.
Reece.
Inspiration, Marcus Harness.
Marcus Harness, looked like he was going to score against us the other day. Yeah, 32 goals for Pompey, and he's in 6th place.
6th, blimey.
Okay, another one who scored against us this season, Jed Wallace.
Jed Wallace, just behind Marcus Harness, in 7th place with 30.
Playing for Wednesday, obviously.
Yep.
Jamal Lowe.
He's sandwich. He's in a Jed Wallace and Connor Chaplin sandwich in 8th place. 29 goals for us.
29 goals.
And is it? Yeah, you know where he's playing now?
Jamal Lowe. He's at Sheffield Wednesday, isn't he?
That's correct. Yeah, so we'll be coming up against him soon.
Right,
Over to you, Scott.
I've got a real. So this is like a real stretch, right? So I'm going to go for Brett Pittman.
Brett Pittman, he is still playing. He's the third highest scorer of the players still playing. With 42 goals, Brett Pittman. Who's he playing for, Scott?
Probably Baffin Milton Rovers again, or somewhat. It's going to be 9th or 10th tier, isn't it? Who is it?
Dorchester Town, the mighty Dorchester Town.
Yeah. Okay. Who shall? Yeah, it's interesting. We've got all the lower ones, but nobody near the top, which is really. You would have thought you would remember all of those quality players.
I have got another one.
Bryn Morris.
Bryn Morris. I'm afraid, Reece. It was not Bryn Morris.
He's still playing, but I don't think he ever scored for us, did he? I will go for John Marquis.
Very good, Scott.
Good.
37 goals, currently plying his trade at
Shrewsbury.
Very good, Reece. Shrewsbury Town. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 left to get.
And they're the top 4.
No, they're not. No, we've got number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 10.
I'm not doing very well on the last 4 at all. Well, I wasn't doing very well on the 10s.
You weren't doing very well on the first one.
No, absolutely not. No. Okay, who else is knocking the goals in? Marlon Pack can't be up there, surely.
No, Marlon Pack cannot be up there. No. Back over to you, Scott.
I'm running out of ideas. I'm going
to start dishing out clues soon. Go on, Scott, have a go. And then
I was going to say Gary Roberts, but he can't still be playing.
He's not still playing.
No.
He's not still playing.
So most of them are going to be League Two players if in their last 10 years. So I'm racking my brains to think about who's still playing from 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, give us some clues then.
All right, we've played against one of them this season. His name comes up quite a lot, actually. Okay, has played in a number of different positions. That's what he's well known for playing all over.
Kay Naismith.
Cal Naismith, correct. 21 goals, currently at Luton Town.
Right.
So the top three.
In reverse order.
Okay, so one of them is playing non-league.
Oh,
One of them
crikey.
is playing in league, I think 1 or 2, and the other one's playing in the championship.
So I thought Jed Wallace was Jamal Lowe would be the only ones in the championship. And obviously Connor Chaplin. What am I talking about? 3 more. And they're all strikers, yeah?
No, they're not.
No. Okay.
Ooh.
And one of them you really should get because he's still playing for us.
Bishop must be.
Yes. My next clue was going to be he has a magic hat. But yeah,
Well,
Colby
how-
Bishop,
Oh,
second
yeah.
highest goal scorer, still playing football, 52 goals. So we're now
52.
going for the fourth and the first. And I believe their times have crossed, possibly.
Okay. Not Ronan Curtis.
Ronan Curtis, number 1.
Yep.
Portsmouth's
It's
all-time
in.
leading goal scorer in the 21st century. 57
Wow.
goals.
Is he still tearing up with Wimbledon or
No, he's at
Port
Port
Vale.
Vale now.
Yeah, it's with
Port
the Vale.
Vale? Blimey,
Vale.
there's a fall from grace.
So here we go. So the fourth highest goal scorer, he is still playing football. He's not a striker. He scored 42 goals for us, and he's currently plying his trade at Radcliffe FC.
I'm going to go for Gareth Evans.
Scott, we'd all go for Gareth Evans, wouldn't we? But it is indeed Gareth Evans.
I was a Burgess man myself, to be honest, but there we go.
It's not Ellis Harrison, is it?
No,
Is
it
he
was
still
it,
playing?
it was Gareth Evans.
My apologies. Okay, well done.
I thought of him ages ago, but I just couldn't. I didn't imagine he was still playing. But when you said it's non-league, I thought, well, there's a chance there, isn't there? So yeah, well done, Gareth. Thanks, Phil. That was brilliant. So what was the top 10? Go through the top 10 just for.
So it was in 10th place,
nicety.
Cal Naismith, 9th, Connor Chaplin, 8th, Jamal Lowe, 7th, Jed Wallace, 6th, Marcus Harness, 5th, John Marquis, 4th, Gareth Evans, 3rd, Brett Pittman, 2nd, Colby Bishop, and top, Ronan Curtis. But I can imagine that Colby will surpass Ronan. Hopefully this season if he bangs in a few in the last 4 games.
Well, let's hope so, and let's hope he gets his shooting boots on for penalties if we get any. So we're on to the final 4 games of the season, but we'll probably deal with the next 3. So we're obviously away to Norwich in the next few hours, and then on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, at home to Watford. So we have two away games, 2 home games. How many points are we thinking from that? I think we only need 4 to stay up. And so 4 draws will do it. We haven't been drawing games all season, so it's highly unlikely. But what do you guys think we need to stay up this season?
I reckon this is obviously now it'll be different when you look at it, but I think a win will do it purely because there are a lot of looking at who's got to play who. There are a lot of teams down the bottom who've got to play each other, whereas we've got the slight advantages. I don't know, of playing 3 teams who are pretty much more or less certainly will be after the next game out in the mix of mid-table obscurity. It'll only be Hull, and if you watch the whole Coventry game, crikey, Coventry absolutely battered them, got the goal, and then Kamara pops up with a fluky deflected goal. So hopefully the gods was shining on Hull that game, but I'm not too bothered. I just think I think 3 points will do it purely because we're on 4 now. We're 4 clear, but 1 win and it just could defeat, and you could be 1 point off. But I don't know, do you? So, but I think 3 will do it.
So Cardiff have got Sheffield United away tomorrow in the evening, and then they are at home to Oxford. So Sheffield United have been terrible last 3 games, but you'd hope they'd sort themselves out and beat Cardiff. So anything against Norwich gives us another little inch towards things, Phil.
Yeah, I think so. By all accounts, Norwich have been awful, but that means that they'll turn up against us, won't they? Because teams always do that. I'm convinced. I'm convinced that we're going to secure our championship position, the second last game of the season, away to Sheffield Wednesday, because I will be there. I think it will be a swashbuckling victory, which will make us mathematically safe, and we can all enjoy a game against Hull in the sunshine. Otherwise, I do not want us going into the last game of the season needing anything, because Kamara will score. That's a given. And that will be an awful game. But I think as we thought, we've all agreed that we've got games that we could and should get points out of between now and then. I mean, if you were going to pick 3 teams to play at this point in the season, I would say Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday would certainly be 2 of them. I'd rather be playing them than teams that have got something to play for.
Yeah, I'm more confident about Monday than I am tomorrow or Good Friday.
We're playing at home on Monday and we're playing away tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that may have said something completely obvious there, but I just think I'm not of the mind that Norwich are not going to turn up. I think they will. I think they, they're 10 points off the playoffs with 4 to go, so they're comfortably not going to make the playoffs. So it's down to pride and whether any players are playing for contracts in the summer or something. As you rightly pointed out, Reece, our away form is just awful. Even if we do get ourselves into a game, we just can't stay into one. We collapse like a pack of cards. So I think I think a loss on Good Friday and a win on Monday will see us in it. It all depends on Cardiff. I think if Cardiff only get a point from their 2 games and we get more than a point, I think we're safe. You're going into the last 2 games with us six above Cardiff with 2 games to play. I think everybody would have wanted to be in that position with 2 games to go.
I think they've got a pretty poor run in as well, Cardiff, overall. I think even Luton and Plymouth have got some really, really challenging games, maybe even Derby. I think our run in is actually not bad at all. I think Plymouth have got Leeds on the last game of the season, so yeah. Quite optimistic, but I mean we've done a lot of the hard work, and if we stay up, I think it'll be a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, you're right. So Cardiff are a week on Saturday are at home to West Brom, who may still be in the playoff chase. Let's hope they are, and needing a win to keep up with Coventry and Middlesbrough and all the rest of them. So we're lucky it is still tightly packed for at least 2 of those playoff places. So there's a few teams that are going for that. What do you think, Phil? You just think we're going to do it on Sheffield Wednesday just for you and Orla?
Yeah, I think so, because they should be demanding to go to more away games. It's going to cost me a fortune. So, but I've got a feeling. That that's what's going to happen. But yeah, who knows? I don't think it's going to come down to the last game of the season. I really don't. I think if it does, I don't fancy our chances. But
simple question: staying up or going down?
Staying up.
Staying up.
Yeah, me too.
According to that thing in the BBC website, we've only got a 5.9% chance of going down, which sounds ridiculous, really. I don't know what we're all worrying about.
Well, if you think about our form over the beginning of 2025, I think we were up to about 5th or 6th. I think we're now down to about 7th or 8th. So, and also if Atkinson can come back, Sean McCee's going to come back, possibly even Lang. You just never know. But I think we'll be okay. And also, you love to hear fans turning on the players like they were at Cardiff when Stoke beat them. So I think the interview with the manager was saying about, are they united? No, they're not as a club. There's rumours of Warnock coming back. That's not the sort of thing you want to hear when you're kind of trying to avoid relegation. One thing that we have done is the fans are stuck with the team throughout the entire season through some pretty poor away performances, but we are maintaining Fratton Park must be worth a good 10 points easy over the course of the season, with that crowd being so close and getting the opposition. I think we underestimate how much Fratton Park is such a influence on the game, and I think also Atkinson in his interview after the game on Saturday, he was saying for a lone player, he was just saying the amount of energy that the crowd give you is phenomenal, and I don't think we've booed a bit at the end of 90 minutes, but we've stuck with the team, and I think that's going to be invaluable come the end of the season.
I think the only player people have really gotten the back of was Silvera. I think that's the only time this season a player's been singled out. Yeah. So we think the current bottom 3 Cardiff, Luton, and Plymouth are going down, do we?
Yeah, I predicted Derby would get out of it.
Yes.
I think they changed manager at the right time. It was a strange decision for him to move there from such a lofty position at the top of the table. But it's proved a really good move for them. None of the other teams who've changed managers have done that much. So obviously we stuck with Mousinho, and rightly so. There was an interesting quote from Mousinho about Atkinson. So he said that there aren't many players with 5 games left on their loan risking what Rob risked today. He will go back to Bristol City after his loan, but he came in and he played like he had a 4-year contract at Portsmouth, and I'm really pleased we have characters in the dressing room like that. So it's about the individuals as much as the team. As Mousinho says, he could rightly have come off after an hour and saying, I don't feel well. I'm not going to fight for the cause. He went above and well beyond. He was on his knees at the end of the game, probably throwing up, but he's the one that, well, initially put us in the hole, but then he dug us out of it again. Thanks very much, guys. Let's hope we do have a very good Easter weekend. I hope everyone who's listening has a very good Easter weekend, and we will see you in a couple of weeks, hopefully with Pompey safe. If not, it's all on Hull. Have a very good weekend. Cheers then. Bye-bye.
Up the Blues.